Hello, my name is Michaela Shelton. Today is Veterans Day, and at the junior high school this week we have been preparing a virtual presentation to honor those who have served our country. We've collected pictures of family members who have served, and we're giving a special shout out to recognize their service. Our junior high band and choir have prepared a few songs in appreciation of the sacrifices you have made. We hope that this shows our appreciation today and every day for your service.
I'd like to honor my mom and dad who served in the Navy.
I'd like to honor my grandpa, Philip Stanley, who served in the military.
I'd like to honor my Uncle Rupert, who served in the Navy.
I'd like to honor my grandpa, who served in the Air Force.
I'd like to honor my Aunt Bobby Shabbat, who serves in the Air Force.
I'd like to give a special Veterans Day shout out to my dad, John Cooksey.
I'd like to honor my great-grandpa, Bob Kempton.
I would like to honor my grandpa, Ron Perry, for serving in Korea.
I'd like to shout out my grandpa Chucky.
I'd like to thank my grandpa, Jesse Larkin.
I'd like to thank my dad, Craig Lemon, for serving.
I'd like to thank my uncle, Wendell Rayfield, for serving.
I'd like to give a shout out to my brother, Weston Murray, for active service in the Air Force.
As we honor all veterans today, I would like to thank my grandpa, Terry Clark, who served in the Army. Thank you for your service.
I would like to thank my Aunt Tammy Fouch and my uncle, Kevin Mile, for serving in the military. Thank you for your service.
I would like to give a shout out to all my veterans, and especially my favorite one, Grandpa Joe. He died on a military warship.
I'd love to give appreciation to all the veterans that are still alive, and to those that are dead, especially to my great-grandpa.
I would like to give a big thank you to my grandpa, Richard Owens, for serving his great time in the Army.
I'd like to give a big thanks to my uncle for serving in the Navy.
I'd like to give a shout out to my uncle, Bobby Arson, for serving in the armed forces.
I'd like to say thank you to all the veterans who served our country, but especially my grandpa, Ski Robleski.
This Veterans Day, I'd like to honor my grandpa, Carl Robinson. He was in the U.S. Navy.
In honor of my father, Anthony Vespucio, that worked in the U.S. Air Force.
I'd like to honor my grandpa, Jeff Osborne, who served in Vietnam.
I'd like to thank my grandpa who served in the Navy.
I'm shadowing Mr. Falwell for helping our country.
My name is Leah Jennings, and I would like to thank my stepdad, Jonathan Zappa, for serving in the Army.
My name is Hayden Tubbs. I have a grandpa who was fighting in World War II.
I'd like to thank my grandpa, Danny Lowe. He served in the Vietnam War Branch Army.
I'd like to thank my grandpa, Jim Henfel, for serving in the U.S. Army and being actively deployed in Vietnam.
I would like to thank my dad for serving in Afghanistan.
I would like to thank my great-great-grandpa for serving in Vietnam.
I would like to thank my great-grandpa for serving in World War II.
I'd like to thank my grandpa Kramer for serving in the military.
I'd like to thank my mom. I want to thank my grandfather for being in the Marine Reservice.
I'd like to shout out my grandpa.
I'd like to thank my dad for serving in the Marine Corps.
I would like to thank my grandfather, Bud, for serving in the U.S. military.
I would like to thank my cousin Scotty for serving.
I'd like to thank my great-grandfather for fighting in World War II. He actually died recently, so I just wanted to make a shout out.
I would like to thank my great-grandpa, Samuel Price. He was a cook in the Army.
I'd like to thank my grandma, Christy Delgman, for serving in the Persian Gulf War as a convoy leader.
I would really like to thank my grandpa for serving his country.
I would like to thank my uncle for serving his country.
I'd like to give a shout out to my father figure who lives right next door. His name is Chuck Swafford. And then I'd like to also give out a shout out to my great-great-grandpa who fought in the war and died while fighting.
Chloe Margelli, again, thank you for all the sacrifices you made and your courage to protect our country and our freedoms. We hope this video has provided a reminder that we appreciate everything that you've done for us. Please enjoy your special day, and from everybody at the junior high, thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Day.